Picture this. You've just turned 62. Your body is wearing down from decades of work. The job is getting harder, not easier. And there's a question that keeps circling in your mind every morning. Should I retire early? Someone will tell you, no. Wait until your full retirement age. Hold out for maximum benefits. They'll pull out the numbers, the spreadsheets, the financial arguments that are completely correct in theory. And for your specific situation, every single one of those arguments might be wrong. Here's what the financial world doesn't want to admit. Sometimes, claiming Social Security at 62 isn't a mistake. Sometimes, it's the smartest move you can make. 2/3 of Americans claim Social Security before their full retirement age. The financial media treats this like a collective planning failure. Like millions of people keep making the same mistake because they just don't understand how the math works. But many of those people are making the right choice for their specific circumstances. And today, I'm going to show you exactly when claiming early is a strategic decision, not an impulsive one. First, let me lay down the actual math, because you need real numbers to make this decision. For anyone born in 1960 or later, full retirement age is 67. That's when you receive 100% of your primary insurance amount. File at 62, and your benefit is permanently reduced by about 30%. If your full benefit would be $4,000 a month, claiming at 62 drops it to roughly $2,800. Wait until 70, and you receive 124% of your full benefit, almost $4,900 per month. The spread between claiming at 62 and claiming at 70 can exceed $2,000 every single month. The question everyone asks, when do I receive it? Comparing 62 versus 67, the break-even point is around age 78. Comparing 62 versus 70, break-even is around age 80 to 81. What those numbers mean is this. If you claim at 62 and pass away at 76, you came out ahead by tens of thousands of dollars. If you claim at 62 and live to 88, you would have received significantly more total money by waiting. The Social Security Administration designed the system so that people who live to average life expectancy receive roughly the same total benefits, regardless of when they claimed. The difference is just how those dollars are distributed over time. And here's where most financial advice goes wrong. It tells you what's true on average. It doesn't tell you what's true for your specific situation. Reason 1 to claim early: filing unlocks spousal and dependent benefits. This is the most overlooked strategic consideration, and it catches people completely off guard. Your spouse cannot collect spousal benefits until you file for your own retirement benefits. If your spouse didn't work long enough to qualify for their own benefit, or if their benefit is significantly lower than half of yours, they are depending on you to file first. Spousal benefits can provide up to 50% of your full retirement age benefit. For many households, that's substantial additional income. Think about this. You're 62 with a solid earnings history. Your spouse is also 62 with minimal work credits. If you wait until 70 to maximize your own benefit, your spouse waits 8 additional years to receive any spousal benefits at all. That's 8 years of household income you've given up. Yes, your personal check will be larger at 70, but the cumulative household impact might strongly favor filing earlier. Don't optimize for yourself while ignoring the full picture of your household. Reason 2, you're single, and your health suggests you may not live past your mid-70s. I understand this isn't a comfortable topic. Nobody wants to sit down and assess their own mortality. But pretending you'll definitely live to 90 when your family history and current health conditions suggest otherwise isn't optimism. It's poor planning. The average American who reaches 62 can expect to live approximately 22 more years, putting average life expectancy around 84. But that's an average. Half of people live longer, and half live shorter lives. If you have chronic health conditions, a family history of early mortality, or other factors suggesting a shorter timeline, the math shifts dramatically. If you're comparing 62 versus 70, and you don't realistically expect to live past 78, you'll receive more total dollars by claiming early. The higher monthly benefit you get by waiting to 70 is worthless if you don't live long enough to enjoy it. Social Security is supposed to be insurance for your retirement. If your retirement will likely be shorter, the insurance should pay out sooner. Reason 3, your spouse has a shorter life expectancy, and you'll ultimately receive a larger survivor benefit. This is a sophisticated strategy that doesn't get discussed enough. When one spouse dies, the surviving spouse can switch to the deceased spouse's benefit if it's higher. It's called a survivor benefit, and it's based on what the deceased spouse was receiving at death. Here's how the strategy works. Say you have health concerns, but your spouse has a higher lifetime earnings record and is expected to live longer. You file for your own benefits at 62, collecting those payments while you're both alive. When you pass away, your spouse switches to their own benefit, which will be larger than your survivor benefit anyway. You've maximized income from both records over time, rather than optimizing just one. This requires coordination and honest conversation about health expectations. But for couples where one partner has clear longevity concerns, it can be a compelling reason to start benefits earlier on the lower earner's record. Reason 4. You've genuinely retired, and you have significant invested assets. This surprises people because it seems counterintuitive. Why would someone with substantial assets claim Social Security early? Shouldn't they be the ones who can afford to wait? The logic works like this. When you have significant retirement assets, those assets are invested and presumably growing. Meanwhile, if you're not working and living on those assets, every dollar you withdraw is a dollar no longer compounding for the future. If you claim Social Security early and use those payments to cover some living expenses, you withdraw less from your portfolio. Your investments get more time to grow. In some scenarios, the additional growth on your portfolio over 8 years exceeds the benefit you'd gain from waiting on Social Security. This strategy also reduces what financial planners call sequence of returns risk. If the market drops significantly early in your retirement while you're withdrawing heavily, the damage can be permanent. Having Social Security income as a baseline reduces how much you need to pull from investments during volatile periods. It's not right for everyone, but for some people with substantial assets who have truly stopped working, claiming early and letting investments ride is the better financial outcome. Reason 5. You're an experienced investor who wants to put those payments to work. Some people claim early specifically because they want to invest the Social Security payments themselves. If you claim at 62 instead of 70, you receive 8 additional years of payments. Yes, each payment is smaller, but you can invest those payments into the market. If your returns exceed approximately 7 to 8% annually, and you live long enough, the invested early payments can outperform the larger delayed payments. This is an aggressive strategy that carries real risk. Markets don't return 8% every year. Some years they lose 20%. But for experienced investors who understand the risks, who have a solid track record, and who don't need the Social Security income for day-to-day expenses, this can be a legitimate approach. You're essentially betting you can generate better returns than the guaranteed 8% per year that waiting would provide. Reason 6. You have another guaranteed lifetime income source coming, like a pension or deferred annuity. If you know that in a few years you'll have another reliable income stream that covers your expenses, you can think about Social Security differently. Say you're 62, you've stopped working, but you have a pension that kicks in at 65, or a deferred income annuity that starts paying at 67. In both cases, your later years already have a stable income floor. You don't need to maximize Social Security to create that floor, because you've already built it elsewhere. Claiming Social Security early gives you income for the gap years. The payments you collect from 62 to 65 or 67 bridge you until your other guaranteed income begins. Once that pension or annuity starts, your combined income exceeds what you need, and Social Security becomes supplemental rather than foundational. Reason 7, and this is the most straightforward one, you simply cannot work past 62 and you need the money. Sometimes life doesn't follow the plan. Sometimes you intended to work until 65 or 67, but your body had other ideas. Maybe you spent decades in physically demanding work: construction, manufacturing, nursing, manual labor. By 62, your knees are done, or your back won't cooperate. Or maybe it's not physical. Maybe you were laid off, and despite months of searching, no one will hire someone your age for the salary you need. Age discrimination in hiring is illegal, but extremely difficult to prove. And the practical reality is that many workers in their early 60s struggle to find comparable employment after job loss. Whatever the reason, if you can't work and don't have enough saved to cover expenses while waiting, Social Security exists for exactly this purpose. Using it when you genuinely need it isn't failure. It's the system working as intended. Don't let financial shame prevent you from using a benefit you've paid into for decades. Now, let me tell you when you absolutely should not file at 62. If you're still working with substantial earned income, filing early is almost always a mistake. You're taking a permanent 30% reduction in your benefit and then having payments withheld anyway because you're earning too much. It creates financial chaos and makes no sense. If Social Security will be your primary or only income source in retirement, strongly consider waiting as long as possible. The difference between $2,800 and $4,000 a month is the difference between making ends meet and struggling. Work as long as you can. Delay as long as you can. If your family has strong longevity and you're in good health, the math favors waiting. If your parents lived into their 90s, if you exercise regularly, if you don't have significant chronic conditions, you're statistically likely to live past the break-even point. Here's something else worth knowing. There are over 700 different Social Security filing strategies when you account for spousal benefits, survivor benefits, divorced spouse benefits, and various timing combinations. The basic break-even analysis comparing 62 versus 70 is just the starting point. Your personal situation likely involves considerations that generic advice doesn't capture. The Social Security Administration actually removed the break-even calculator from their website because too many people were making poor decisions based on it. A simple formula can't capture the complexity of real financial lives. So what do you actually do? First, understand your numbers. Log into your Social Security account and look at your benefit estimates at 62, 67, and 70. Know the actual dollar amounts. Second, assess your health honestly, not pessimistically. Honestly, look at your family history, your current conditions. Use that information in your planning. Third, consider your household, not just yourself. If you're married, optimize for total household benefit, not individual benefit. Sometimes the higher earner should delay while the lower earner claims early. It depends on ages, earnings histories, and health expectations for both spouses. Fourth, think about your other income sources. Is Social Security a complement to other income or the foundation of everything? Your answer shapes the right filing strategy. Fifth, if this feels overwhelming, consider a fee-only financial planner who can run detailed analyses on your specific situation. A few $100s in professional advice can be worth tens of thousands in lifetime benefits if it leads you to the right decision. Picture two versions of yourself 10 years from now. One version made this decision with full information, understood the math, understood their specific situation, and acted accordingly. That version is living comfortably in retirement, not financially pressured, with a strategy that was thoughtfully designed for their actual life. The other version followed generic advice, missed the nuances, and is living with the consequences of that decision, whatever those consequences turned out to be. The difference isn't in claiming early or late. It's in whether the decision was made based on real facts about your real life. What's your situation right now? And what's been holding you back from making this decision intentionally? Tell me in the comments and subscribe so we can keep running the real numbers together. Not the version that sounds good in a generic article but may not fit your life at all.